Welcome to the Beacon Way podcast, where your hosts, Jennifer Christensen and Adrian Wilkerson, talk shop about what really works in today's digital marketing world. As the co-founders of Beacon Media and Marketing, Jennifer and Adrian have been a part of digital marketing since its early stages in the mid-2000s. Tune in as they shine light on what works and what doesn't in the ever-changing world of digital marketing for small businesses.
Welcome back to the Beacon Way podcast. This is Jennifer, your host today, and really honored to have Bob Hutchins with us. So I've had the pleasure of working with Bob on a couple projects. For those of you that have read the State of Mental Health Marketing report, Bob contributed to that, did an amazing job on the copywriting for that, but that is just one of his skills. He is definitely pushing the envelope in his fractional CMO role in the AI world. And a lot of people have been tuning into our AI podcast, asking more questions about it. So we're gonna dig in today. But thank you so much, Bob, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking with you.
Bob's in Tennessee. I'm in Alaska. So he's in the warm place. I'm in the cold place. Still today, still snow on the ground. I'm assuming there's no snow there whatsoever.
No, it's a nice 70 degrees today.
Yeah. Exactly. That's Tennessee for you. So we've had a lot of great conversations about AI. We haven't talked in about a month though. And I feel like a month is about 5 years of another industry in AI. So tell me what's on your mind today? What do you wake up going besides, okay, I wonder what's going to happen today? But what's on your mind today as far as where we're at in this AI journey? What's top of mind for what's happening right now?
Oh, that's a big question, Jennifer. It is changing almost daily. And if you stay abreast of the news when it comes to the subject of tech and AI developments, that there's 3 or 4 major players that are in the headlines. But behind that, there's enterprise companies, there's small business, there's startups that are all trying to figure out how to integrate AI in some way or another. And so while I'm keeping my eye on the Googles, the OpenAI, the Claude 3 and Hugging Face, and on it goes, that kind of battle of the behemoths, I think what's also interesting is to see how businesses of all sizes are really learning and creatively integrating AI into their regular workflows and discovering new interesting ways to use it.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're right. It's 2 completely separate subjects. Did I ask you about this? Did you read Elon Musk's biography, which kind of goes into
Yes,
okay. So that gave me like a good perspective on just what happened, 7, 8, 9 years ago when the behemoths, as you were saying, we're all looking to the future, and we see that playing out. Actually, I'd say pretty accurately right now. But I agree. We're an agency. We work with hundreds of clients. We're on the ground. That's like our day to day is how do we work with this? How do we do this well? Should we do it? There's the ethical question. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say we didn't even put our full AI policy together until it's been about 3 weeks now, but we've already changed it. So we put it together and then we've already updated and changed it. But that's where my mindset is. Yes, I'm paying attention to them, but I'm really looking at how do we navigate this? So it sounds like we're in the same space as far as having the same thoughtful conversations.
Yeah. I would say, Jennifer, it's equivalent to where we were, say, in end of 1998, beginning of 1999, early 2000, right? What is the internet? What does it mean? And how is it going to evolve into business case uses? I think that it's too early to tell. And if you look at that kind of S curve, you have the early adopters, and then you have that trough of disillusionment where you're going to start seeing all the early adopters, like the early investors. If those of you who are old enough to remember, or you can go back and study this, they called it the dot bomb era. There was all these businesses and investments, and people were becoming millionaires overnight from investments, from these ideas of what would happen and how they would use these ideas and use the internet. But the problem was the technology wasn't there yet. And so they
Right.
couldn't pull off these big ideas like what we consider normal today is online shopping and then grocery delivery. Believe it or not, that was an idea that someone tried to pitch and actually got funded 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago,
Right.
25 years ago, almost now. But then it all bottomed out because the technology wasn't there. And I think in some ways, we're feeling a little bit of that tension. I think AI is further along and it's going to progress faster. But any new technology, you have these early adopters, and then you have the trough of disillusionment. And then ultimately, you see that steady curve go back up. So I think we're about to see some of that trough where you're hearing things like, oh, it's not all it's cracked up to be, and all the naysayers. But truly, this is going to be a paradigm shifting technology, much like the internet, in my opinion, and many others too.
Yeah, I completely agree with your assessment. That's a great analogy. I was number 8 in line in Anchorage, Alaska to get my dial up. And my husband and I at the time actually started a bed and breakfast and was a super early adopter to the internet. And we actually grew our whole business online,
It's
which was
amazing.
unheard of at the time. Like we were competing against like Princess Cruises and travelalaska.com, but we were one of the few that did it. So I know based on that experience, I know that there's a way to navigate how you do it, but it's not like we put a huge investment in it either. We tried things, we saw what would work. Can we use it for this? Can we use it for that? Is there a market here? And I think you just have to ask yourself those same questions. And I've also learned through Beacon, we were extreme early adopters, even in when social media really took off. And there was a good year where we lost money on that. We were too far ahead of it. We were trying to use technology that really wasn't helping our clients yet. And so we had to pull back a little bit and then reformat and then take off again. So I've learned that lesson too. It does feel like AI though, because it's so fast.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm really struggling with is, okay, this is not the internet. This is not going to take 10 years to really become, it can only be a year and a half, 2 years.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. And the analogy only goes to so far. Now, it is a technology and you have to treat it as that. But as far as the utilitarian use of it, we have never experienced anything like this. Up
right,
until this time, we've always been human beings using and controlling the tool that we said this is how it's going to be used and how I'm going to be in complete control. And while on one sense you can still say that's true about AI, but in the other sense, we're going to have to come alongside machines and computers and work in tandem with them. And
right.
that's kind of a new experience that we're not, that kind of scares us a little bit. We're not used to, but I think that's the way that we have to be thinking about it. Less of how do we control and like totally use it versus how do we allow this to augment us and work alongside us, because within 2, 3, 5 years it's not going to be, oh, I switch a button, I turn it off. It's this is my AI agent, my alternative workforce that is working alongside of me. It's still going to need the human guidance and to be beside it, but we have to think of it like that, is how can we work alongside machines instead of over them? And that's a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I'd like to pivot a little bit into just because since you went there, into the human
Sure.
element. I think that's probably the biggest fear I hear over and over again when I am outside the business early adapter tech world. I hear that more and more of, well, how do we keep our humanness in this? And what are the implications of that? Obviously, there's people that are thinking about this on a much grander scale as far as like economies and jobs and all of that. But for our purposes, when you think about it in your lifetime and for your kids' lifetime, what do you want that to look like? What do you hope it looks like from a human and machine perspective?
Look, the real value in any technology, and especially AI, since we're talking about this, is It lies in acceleration and augmentation, not replacing. And you've probably said this or heard this, so it's not an original statement, but I think it's so relevant that we have to keep in mind. AI is not going to take your job. Someone using AI is going to take the job of someone not using AI. The real value, again, is an augmentation, not replacing human capabilities. So businesses can achieve the best of both worlds by focusing on the repetitive and data heavy aspects of marketing. But then that frees us marketers up to dedicate their time and expertise to the truly human things like you talked about. Things like empathy and understanding. Look, AI can analyze data, but it can't replace the human ability to build customer relationships and truly understand their motivations. Storytelling, human connection. I know you're all about that there at Beacon. Look, a compelling brand narrative is what creates lasting loyalty. Now, AI can help personalize that content, again, augment it, but human marketers are crucial for crafting messages that are still going to resonate. And then I would say creative problem solving. AI is excellent at following patterns, but humans still excel in more out of the box thinking and devising innovative solutions to challenges and unexpected challenges. So
Yeah.
at least for now, humans are still going to be in need of driving that, of, again, empathy. What excites me, Jennifer, and I know you and I have talked about this a lot, is that it's going to free us up from those things that aren't innately human so that we can focus on the things that are innately human. And this is that side by side symbiosis that I keep talking about. It's maybe we can spend our time better than sitting 8 hours writing someone else's ad copy, right? Maybe we can allow it to do what it might do a little bit better. And then
Sure.
we can focus on, okay, what is the empathetic human connection? We can focus on those soft skills instead of sitting in front of a computer typing on plastic keys with our fingers for hours at a time.
Yeah.
I would say, and that's arguable, people would certainly push back. We can still guide that. We can still speak into it. We can still modify it. But AI to me is a sophisticated intern, and you can have a room of sophisticated interns. You wouldn't allow the sophisticated intern to go in front of your client without checking their work or making sure that you're in control of what is being done.
Right.
But they can do quite a bit to save us all time and effort to focus on the things that we're really good at.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying is what I'm hopeful for. That's the positive. But this is just like the internet before on some level. I definitely see people, I don't know if you've noticed the trend on LinkedIn of the automated responses, and
Yeah.
that is just really irritating.
I saw something weird yesterday. I posted a story, and I literally, it's the first time I've seen this. I saw 7 or 8 people respond within about 30 minutes, and they were all real. I went back and looked,
Yeah.
but the responses were all very similar.
Yeah, that's the new, I can't remember what, there's a couple different, I don't think Taplio is doing that, but there's a couple different ones. So they've got the algorithm tied where the people they're following, they want to respond within a certain period of time. And they're real people, but they're employing the AI to respond for them.
I must have hit some sort of hashtag because it was only that post, and I've posted a few since then. It was just that one.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm like, this is weird. It was, oh, this is an interesting topic. I can't wait to read it. And it was just
Exactly. I know. I mean, that's the part I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Like, that's actually like the real connection. If you're really trying to make a connection and empathize with somebody and connect with somebody, that will never replace that. That's the worst use of that, I think. Worst use case. I understand why they're doing it. And I could see some automated pieces of, not everybody wants to sit at their computer and see when the people they're following are going to post the thing on LinkedIn that they want to do that. So I could see it prompting you to, hey, this person just posted, here's a suggested response, or here's an analysis of what they put. I could see that it helping you, but to have it be just so clearly not even looked at, you've just, to me, you missed the entire point.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And we've had 20 years of spam that's going to continue. And we've had 20 years of pop-ups that have bad advertising. So in a capitalistic society, you're going to constantly get this. So I
Yeah.
think I'm not too concerned that bad marketers are going to use AI in ways that they've always done for the last 150 years.
Right.
So I'm not too concerned about that. I think what it does is that everybody does the same thing. The people that are excellent, I call it the rise of the obvious expert. The ones that are truly artists in what they do, who do focus on human empathy and human connection, they're going to rise to the top. And I think in every industry, we see this. Things become commoditized and flattened. A new technology or a new way of doing things comes along. And the ones that are excellent at it, they rise to the top. And that's the opportunity for marketers and for great agencies.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. So the people that you're talking to, I know you've got a couple clients or people that you're consulting. What are the number one, maybe top three questions or things that people are coming to you for, where they're like, I need help with X? Is it all related to marketing AI, would you say, in that world?
At least what I do, I'm helping them kind of formulate, you hinted at it earlier, like what does governance and privacy look? Let's start there. So that's some questions around it. How do we train AI and on our language and keep it from, the biggest question is, everyone's scared of hallucinations, right? In the marketing world, you want to make sure you have consistent brand voice. If you're in e-commerce, you might have multiple brands across hundreds, if not thousands of SKUs on your e-commerce that have to follow certain brand guidelines if you're resellers or partnerships. So all those kind of things are real interesting. I think the biggest issue that all businesses have is they have to rethink how they treat data, because there is no AI without data in the business environment. And
Right.
reprioritizing data, I call it data valorization, making data the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Data has always been in the domain of the IT department or the chief technical officer. It's just this commodity that you have. But I think businesses have to rethink that and realize that their biggest business asset moving forward is going to be their data.
Yep.
So we're cleaning that data, making sure that those dots are connected, making sure that you have a data governance policy, because that's what AI learns on. It's what gives data and analytics a body. AI gives data and analytics a body. And if you
Yep.
think about it like that, then it's less about, oh, it's over here in these silos, but actually we're going to take it and raise it up to a really important business asset. And so businesses of all size, Jennifer, are trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with the data? How do we train AI on our data? How do we connect customer personalization aspects, product descriptions, all that stuff, SEO, et cetera?
Yeah, it's just weird to me. I keep finding this with you, that we're in the same exact subject, but hitting it from different angles. And the whole transformation of what we're working on with Beacon right now is a whole process called the Beacon Way. And it's basically combining brand, which we have always, not just us, but most marketers, most companies have put their brand, their messaging, their creative in one category, and then they put their data in another. And the whole process of what we're doing is showing clients, and we're putting together basically a system which allows them to have their data as part of the brand, because it's actually the core part of the brand. It's not that your logo or your image or even your content, it's not that it doesn't matter at all. It needs to be all integrated. The two sides, which have always been, I think, fighting for a long time, right? You've got your data side and your creative side. They absolutely can and need to be integrated moving forward,
That's
because
right.
that's the value.
That's right. I think people listening to this, depending on where they are in their AI journey or interest or business owner, AI, yes, Chat GPT, it's fun, it's great. lots of API tie-ins to businesses, things you can use,
Sure.
Anthropic, Claude, all that stuff. Gemini, it's great. And those are what's called large language models.
Right.
And in the business world, there are ways to use that in copy and things like that. But the most profitable, the most efficient way to use AI today in 2024 is what I call more of a small language model. It's training AI tools on your data so that it speaks your language and it's confined within the rails of your own information. And then you find ways to use that data accordingly, i.e., content marketing, or it's, like I said earlier, product description pages, or data and analytics, customer personalization, customer service, train it on buying habits. And I think that's what you have to rethink is we can get sidetracked with, okay, what billions and trillions of information did OpenAI scrape and then create these crazy experiences and then go off and do some side of a hallucination. While it's important to understand that, what really we need to focus in from a business and a marketing standpoint is now is the opportunity to jump in and learn how it can train on your data, not the rest of the world, because you really need to focus on your own information. And that's where your data, cleaning that data, prioritizing the data comes in play.
I'm so glad the conversation went here because this is the part, even when I'm talking, I was at dinner a couple nights ago and AI came up like it does lately, right? A lot. And so they're asking me all these questions and I realize most of the conversations I'm having are still around Chat GPT and still around the large language model. And that's great. But I like that's not even what I'm passionate about right now. I'm passionate about exactly what you're talking about, which is taking data, refining it, and it's enhancing, it's connecting brand. I think the people that do exactly what you're saying right now, if they actually take this and move forward with it, whether it's working with a company like Writer or Keo, there's a couple out there that are really doing this. You can Google it or you can use Perplexity AI to find it. But I think those are going to be the winners. I really do, from a small business standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're at a time now where there's some really cool things that can be done. I'm seeing things every day come out and interesting use cases.
Right.
It is a little bit of an experiment time where a lot of this stuff will fall away. But I just got an email the other day. You'll appreciate this, and you may have seen it, from the first 100% AI-driven content agency where it's almost hands off from beginning to end, handling all high-level content writing, distribution, posting it, all automated, posting it, tying in with Google Search Console, measuring it all the way through, like from the beginning all the way to the end, very little human engagement. And you and I have talked about this, is it's really interesting. The service agencies of the future, i.e. the beacons and others, the more and more that you integrate, I think this is an accelerant. I think right now you're working with 100 clients. Within a couple of years, that might be 2,000 clients. And you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? I'm going to have to staff up and hire dozens, if not hundreds of people. That's the way businesses need to think. And you and I, as service offering, that's how we would use it. But to the e-commerce, as we alluded to earlier, if I've talked to big enterprise companies that have 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 SKUs, right? These are big e-commerce companies. And they say, a few months ago, if I wanted to bring on a whole couple of new lines or add another 10,000 products, 8,000 products, it would have taken me months to do that. Why? Because you have a room full of copywriters that would have to write up all the product descriptions, make sure it's SEO optimized, make sure each one is on brand according to if I had partnerships with Nike or Adidas, if I'm a sports related type e-commerce, I had to make sure I follow those guidelines. On and on it goes, and then get it approved. And so it would literally take months to bring thousands of new product line on. That literally can be done in a couple of days, if not a few hours now. because you're training these models on very specific guidelines.
Right.
That's a game changer. Now just bring that down to the small business person that's, yeah, I can bring on another 300 products. That could change my life. That could change my business.
Right.
That's the speed and the acceleration that it can afford.
And we've both been in business long enough to know that speed often outweighs many other things in business, right? How many times do we choose to buy something because of speed? This company can do it faster than this company. They may be even more expensive, but we choose it for speed. I've made multiple decisions like that just today, actually. And so when I think about that, that also to the contrast is if people aren't starting to pick this up, I think it's going to be incredibly hard for them to compete because
Absolutely.
there just won't be a reason why somebody would feel compelled to wait for something, a good reason to, as far as getting something quickly. Okay, so let's end it with this. Let's end it with, if somebody's listening, there's small business, service business, and they're like, I don't even know the first thing to start with. Where should I start? Where should I start
Yeah.
experimenting? As you said, what would your recommendation be? I know that's a broad one because it depends on so many factors, but maybe in broad strokes, where would you have them start?
Gosh, I think you need to look at everywhere in your organization or your business where you have data. And it can be on the customer side, it can be on the MarTech stack, it can be on your wherever in your organization, underneath your chief technical officer and that team, it can be in the sales division, it can be in the customer service, it can be even in your HR. And create a document that says what are these different silos and what data does exist, where it exists. How can we connect dots and accelerate, and where are we spending a lot of time on that? And you have to have a governance framework, right? We talked about this
Right.
earlier. Establish clear guidelines with with your organization for AI development and use first. That's the first thing you do is
Right.
create
Right.
an ethics board if it's appropriate and with diverse perspectives to ensure that AI solutions align with the company values. Make sure you implement a robust technical and procedural safeguards for customer data. All privacy shouldn't be an afterthought. You don't just jump into AI and say, "Oh, here's all this data. Now let's spin this cool things up and throw it out there." It would be baked into every AI powered marketing solution. So that's the first thing I would say is let's look at what we have. Let's build some sort of governance framework around it. And
Right.
then I would say data literacy is really important. Understand data collection, cleaning, analysis, and most importantly, translating data into actionable marketing and sales insights. You don't need to be a data scientist. Depending on your organization, you might want to hire one, but you do need to prioritize data fluency. And then I would say also foster and create a culture inside your organization of AI adoption. This is a cultural transformation. You talk about digital transformation, you talk about all kinds of transformation. This is a cultural transformation because we're talking about people and the way that people use data and the way that people do their jobs. Leaders need to foster a culture of curiosity and continuous learning by highlighting AI's benefits, whether it's automating mundane tasks so teams can be more creative and strategic. Those are all the things that I would say that you have to start prioritizing. As far as specifics and specific tools and AI, gosh, we could probably spend a whole nother couple hours talking about that. But the basics of what I shared, I think, is a good place to start.
Yeah, I love it. I'm reminded when you say that of what I've talked to you about, which is the age of intelligence. And when I think of even what that means as we're moving into this from the information age, it really is humans and AI, both not just from an AI perspective of technology, but it's that intelligence piece of being able to have a framework and know how you're taking the information, how you're using it and using it well.
Yeah, hyper personalization at scale is probably the one thing that I'm very interested in. And I think if you were to say what would be the one thing as marketers, salespeople, in businesses that would be in our lane, it's hyper-personalization at scale. It's going to enable experiences, tailoring experiences to the individual level in real time across multiple channels. And that won't replace the need to understand customers deeply, but it will amplify marketing's ability to meet those needs. So that's what gets me most excited, and I'm sure you as well, is like being able to talk to human beings based on what they like, what they don't like, what they fear, what their dreams are. All of those very human things we can do now because we can connect those dots. And because we have that data, it's just in disparate places. So hyper-personalization at scale is what I think all businesses need to be working toward.
I love that you have a big, lofty goal, but you also gave, okay, this is where you need to start, because it can feel overwhelming when you say that for a lot of people. But if we all start down that road of starting to experiment, starting to see where we can implement it, using the data we have, starting with what we have first and doing it ethically, then you'll know what pieces to start incorporating.
Absolutely. And what's so fun about this is we don't know yet. We're dreaming based on our past experiences.
Right.
But I'm amazed every day that somebody comes up with this new little way of using it. And I think we're going to be blown away with the creativity that comes out of this technology, that it will enable us and afford us in ways that we've never dreamed of. And so that's really going to benefit, I think, businesses in ways that they don't even know yet.
Yeah, I think we're just at the beginning. Thank you so much. This was amazing. There's so many good nuggets in here. I'm already thinking from a marketing standpoint of the shorts. I'm like, oh, that was a great short. That was a great short. There's some really good key information that you gave. So I really appreciate just how open you are to share and help other people on this journey.
I appreciate you. I always love what Beacon does, what they stand for, and anytime. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Beacon Way. We hope you enjoyed it and had some good takeaways. Please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And if you've enjoyed the show, please give us some stars on your podcast channel of choice. For more information, tips, and notes from the show, check us out at beaconmm.com. For more information on how Beacon can help market your business, email us at welcome@beaconmm.com.